What is up, guys? It is Zach, and this is the third video in the How to Work From Home series. Today, we're going to be talking about education. Now, my face is a little dark. That's because I'm using Zoom instead of OBS. Yesterday, I learned my lesson. So, that's just what we're doing. This is going to be a pretty short video just because in education, there's not a whole lot for me to teach besides a few tools that I like to use and why they're really effective. I'll explain why education at home is pretty much infinitely better than going to a school or being lectured to, that sort of thing, and how you can learn a lot faster while doing so. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is share screen, share computer sound, and let's optimize screen sharing for video clip. Not sure what that means, but let's give it a shot. Okay, cool beans. Video thumbnails are minimized. Great, cool beans. So let's get started. Let's go to Lucidchart. Webinar, blah, 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 blah. Go to new, blank template. We're going to be building this from scratch. Okay, so this one is going to be called education. Boom, big ol' education. Education. Great. I feel like that can be bigger. Skadoosh, perfect size. All right, that's obnoxious to look at. Okay, so a couple things. We're going to go to how to learn in, we'll call it an optimal fashion. A lot of people have different opinions about how to learn best. I have my own. So instead of claiming that I know the one way of learning great, I'm going to share just the things that I can recommend. So that's the first part, and we're going to go over tools. And I'm just going to pretty much show you the tools part. And that's all. Now, let's get started. How to learn in an optimal fashion. So there's a couple of steps here. The first thing that you want to be able to do is, one, take care of your mental health. Of your health/mental health. Your health and your mental health are both connected. That's why when you take care of one, you're taking care of both. But especially with physical health, taking care of your physical health infinitely provides benefit to your overall mental health. The reason it's so important to take care of your health first and foremost is because whenever you're not in your optimal kind of mindset, it's a lot harder to take on information. And while learning is also just something that you can do habitually, and when you don't learn for a long time, it can kind of not be so great. You want to have your brain working as optimally as possible. So the same with nutrition and exercise and sleep. Those are the three kind of fundamentals. And when your environment is clean, you are in a really good position to do some learning. So that's the first part. The next thing is, let's see. We're going to call this making space. So the same way on number one in taking care of your health, you want to make sure your environment is clean and organized. One of the other things you can do is making space in your life for education. So you want to have time to make these skills. So if you have a lot of stuff going on a particular week, you might want to just handle some parts of your life before you even get really get started on diving deep into whatever you're learning. Of course, there is also, depending on the skill you're wanting to learn and how fast you want to learn it, you can also do a daily education, or at least most, like maybe just every weekday you're educating yourself. So I like to do this with things like Duolingo or learning basic math concepts with Brilliant. It's an app that just teaches a lot of math fundamentals and computer science and that sort of thing. So yeah, making space is the next part. After that, there's really only two more things that we can go over. And these aren't really steps. These are just kind of how you learn. So, and if it's a how-to, I'm going to use it in kind of present tense just so you can see that it's a verb. So take care of your health, make space for learning. And then the next part, these are going to be more conceptual. So there's two kinds of ways, well, one main way that we learn, and that is through relevance. Relevance just means everyone's life is unique, and we all have different things that might be useful to us. For example, if you live out on a farm, it might be more useful for you to learn things about farming. If you're someone who wants to work from home, which is what everyone is watching here, most likely you're going to want to learn some skill that will complement your skills. So if you're someone who's more creative, you might want to spend your time learning something like music or something like visual design, like graphic design, that sort of thing. Of course, you can be creative in every field, but I'm just saying if you're more kind of artistic, that might be the thing for you. Web design would also be a good field to go into because that's kind of like the middle between just logic and programming and the actual design side. I tend to fall in the middle because I've grown both sections of my brain to the way that I can. Yeah, so relevance. This is the reason why it's so easy to study, or you're able to take in a lot more information like right before a test where you feel like you need to cram, because the need to learn becomes extremely relevant in that particular situation. So you might not take in everything at the time, but you at least know what you're going to do. So that's the first part. The next step is how to organize information. I'm going to show you a software that I like to use called, well, the software name doesn't really matter, but I use one called Xmind Zen. Here we go. I'm just going to type in Zen on my computer. Where the? That's strange. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry about the pause. They updated or changed their kind of software. So instead of it being called Xmind Zen, now it's just Xmind 2020 or just Xmind. So let me show you kind of what I'm talking about. So the way our brains store information are less in like a linear notes fashion. So for example, I have Evernote, handy dandy tool for note taking that I still use and is still pretty useful, or extremely useful, I should say. Let's go to learning. Where's my learning? Oh, I was already there. Okay, cool. So let me show you an example of how most people take notes and how we actually learn. Okay, so I did a ton of research when I first started freelancing. Literally a week, just nonstop learning. I had the space and time for it, and I filled my time pretty much mostly with that, outside of just eating occasionally. So here's what I came up with. So as you can see, the way this is as close to how we actually learn as I can get. So whenever we're taking notes, whenever they're more kind of like linear and structured, they'll go in a sequential order. So the 5 principles of a lean startup, why startups fail, how the book is organized, that sort of thing. Building a startup is an exercise in institution building, yada, yada, yada. So all of these notes are taken in a specific format that just keeps on going down the line, just like a normal program. Now, the way our brains actually store information is a much more based on, well, relevance for one, but it's much more like, how do I put this? It's a lot more like a fractal that just keeps going down and down and down until you get to like as far down as you can go. So fractals, just to show an example. So fractal is just like the same trippy image that just keeps going the further down you go down a thing. It's the same pattern that just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it goes too far to where you can't see it. Same thing here. With something like you have your topic, which in this case is social media strategy. In this case, we could also just call it topic. There are certain ways you can kind of categorize it and break things down and kind of section them off. So, by the way, mind mapping in this kind of format is supposed to be one of the most efficient ways of note taking that you can have. For example, if you want to know what the fundamentals of, let's say, having a social media marketing strategy, that would fall under fundamentals. Now, what are those? You can have quality, consistency, cross-posting, community. So with connect, you could do things like, what is this? How do I connect? Why should I connect? And it can pretty much just keep going on and on and on. Typically, this would be like where something would end if you want to go that specific. Sometimes it's enough to just have the basic overview and your brain will make the connections to understand what you're doing. So that's part of it. So basically our mind is kind of thinks more in maps and kind of like breakdowns of things. So that way we know where the information is associated from. That's why a really cool way, if you want to do like a not so super fancy version of this, let's go back to my freelancing notes. You will have, where'd they go? Where are they at? Freelancing research, there we go. So this is the other way of doing it. So whenever you do these bulleted lists, the further down you go, the more, each one of these is related to a particular like subject. So ways to make money with Python, consultant, be a freelancer, hybrid, sell services on a platform, how to go full-time, blah, 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 blah. Everything that is related to it is inside of each one of these bullet points. Code is set up the same way. This is not a coding course though, so I won't really go too far into that. And the last one that I wanted to actually point out, and this is even something that I'm just remembering on the spot, would be repetition. Most of the hard skills that you're going to learn that you need to do freelancing with are going to be a combination of like learning for the first time and then doing those things over and over and over. For example, I could build a website with Python's Django web framework in a matter of like minutes and have a website up and live on the internet, and it would take pretty much no time at all. The only reason is because I literally drilled myself on doing the commands to where I have them like singed in my brain. So it takes me no time at all to build at least like the back end of a Django website. Yeah, so what else is there? As far as like learning in an optimal fashion, this is pretty much all there is to it, at least on a simple level. Now, this doesn't cover all like the neuroscience and all the blah, blah, blah of it. This is just the kind of beginning fundamentals of learning. So that's pretty much that. Now, let's get into tools. We're going to start with the most useful tool you will ever have on your laptop, and this is called Video Speed Controller. Video Speed Controller. This little guy right here is one of the most epic apps you can have because it lets you take, let's go to YouTube and just find some videos. We're going to go to my good friend, Stefan Mischuk. This guy, he is an awesome teacher in both programming, freelancing, being entrepreneurship in general, and he has a lot of courses on that. I'm not selling any of those because I didn't get the referral link, but also I don't need to because his content's just always really material. So let's say he has a 59-minute video, 59 minutes and 15 seconds. When you have the Video Speed Controller app installed, there's this little box that comes up, and you'll notice it instead of having the video speed settings down here, where it's like playback speed, normal, and it only lets you go up to 2. Here, you can go as fast as you want. Let's see. Here, wait, did I share with sound? Let me make sure I'm doing everything right here. Loop, stop the share. Okay. We're going to do this. Share. Okay, yeah, I'm already sharing computer sound. Optimize sharing for video clip. Yeah, okay, cool. So
all right. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
So
I'm having a bit of trouble with YouTube Studio. It's messing up on me today.
Okay, I put the volume down low, so hopefully it's not too loud.
Good.
So let's see how fast we can make this guy. So my computer might get a bit warm here. So we're at 1.6.
Can you hear me clearly? Is the audio synced at all?
Let's go up to 2.5.
Okay, cool. I was having all kinds of trouble with Studio. Spent the last 20 minutes trying to get the fixing out on me. So we'll see how it goes. But if you can hear me,
there's no really limit on this, and it works on a ton of different websites. Like it works on Facebook. Let's see, facebook.com. Let's see what we got. Any videos? Any videos? Could have swore there's like a section for videos here. Either way, works on Facebook. I don't really need to, that's just the gist of it. It works on most videos on the internet in general. Not Canva. It's like, yeah, I can't think of the name. All right, and looks like my microphone cut out for a second, but it should be back now. Continue recording. Okay, hopefully that didn't cut out too much. It just looks like my microphone had some issues. So either way, Video Speed Controller is super beneficial. It's actually been shown to be even better for you to watch videos at a faster speed because whenever things are kind of slow, the same way like in a college lecture when the teacher's just talking at you, there's a ton of information that they're sharing. It's just they're making it last longer than it needs to. When you watch some recorded webinar or course, even if you watch this video at a faster speed, you're going to pick up probably more efficiently if, let's say, you're getting bored, because you're picking up the information faster. Your brain's filtering through it faster, so you can pick up the kind of bits and pieces that you need to actually apply something, and you'll be done and find your solution a lot faster than you would without it. So that's the benefit of this amazing tool right here. Now, some other tools that might be cool for you to use. There's Evernote. That's just a really awesome one for note-taking. Xmind. We'll just call it 2020 for now because I don't know the other name. That's a really cool tool to learn how to use for mind mapping. That's this guy. I have much deeper, really huge mind maps that I could show you, but not really necessary. And is there anything else? I guess, okay, I'm going to give you a couple of places to learn wherever or whatever skill set you're probably, or just a ton of different skill sets that you might be interested in. So because you're working remotely, here's kind of the deal. You're going to want to learn from courses like Udemy. Oh wait, by the way, okay, so I believe on the introduction video for this whole series, I was talking about, I said I was going to talk about education and go over which skills you should learn. This is a good point to point that out because, again, you want to learn based off of relevance. What is relevant to you? In the online marketplace, you could take like a physical skill like, let's say you're really good at engineering or you're really good at making music. You could do something like put your music online, and my friend Hadley had a really creative idea of selling out, like basically selling a show and tickets on her Facebook page and inviting people to that to do a live like video recording of her playing music. And I think like something like 200 something people showed up to that, and it was really cool to see. I was really proud of seeing her do that. Another thing, but for the most part, when you're working online, there's a couple of paths really. It just depends on how you want to do it. So one really cool way of doing that is consulting. So like, let's say you already have your skill, you can consult. Two is like actual work, which is just like doing the service that you offer. And well, I mean, the third way of making money online is just through some kind of, or we'll call this services here. So we'll say service. And then three is having some kind of tangible product or drop shipping. But that's for another video. So as far as the skills that are relevant to you, if you're just starting out, you want to have skills that are marketably valuable to, one, people with money, two, people on the internet and you want to have skills that people are actually looking for. So that will have something to do with sales and marketing, at least if you're marketing to companies. Otherwise, there's not really a whole lot else. So that's things like, for example, if you're a writer, you could do copywriting. If you want to get more in like the technology field, you're going to want to learn some type of coding. That's just kind of how it is. Like, for example, I do web design and I'm moving into data science and more like machine learning pretty soon. So it really it mostly depends on what you're interested in. That all goes back to relevance though. So whatever you're interested in online, something that you just thought would be really cool to learn, even if you want to be a hacker, there's still ways to do like ethical hacking to find money online. I'm sure there's a lot of ways on the dark web, but that's not my place. So, yeah, ton of skills to learn. One way to find out what you want to learn is to go on the actual websites where you'll find work. So this is probably better. This is probably a better conversation for the next video on the next video on actually finding work. But I think this is kind of relevant here too. So you want to go where the work and the people who are hiring actually are. And on the internet, that involves these freelancing platforms like Upwork, Craigslist, etc. Some people or some of these websites will have a, let's see, is this the one where there are the top trending skills? So right here. So this is a huge list of skills that are at the forefront of like demand right now. So there are actively customers that are looking for, or I should say business people that are looking for people with these skills. So people who know things like blockchain or GitLab or Apple Xcode. I don't even know what some of these things are. Customer retention. Okay, that's kind of a skill that could be under UX or that's the whole category in itself. Learning something like Go, product photography if you're a photographer, TensorFlow, Vue.js, Microsoft Power BI, and all this other stuff. Zero. Yeah, like literally if you just type in something like websites to freelance on. you'll have a ton of places, and you could even say like skills in demand. Yeah, so the top 10 most in-demand hard skills globally. Yeah, so here's if you're going, like if you want to specifically go after the money, which in some cases there's really nothing wrong with that as long as you just have like a plan to get there that you don't hate. Because part of it is you have to actually enjoy the process of what you're doing. So there's that to keep into account too. So there's a lot of tools here and anything else. Yes, there was one last very important thing that I kind of am mad at myself for not bringing up earlier. There's one skill you really want to have in learning in general, but also working online, and that is, let's see, the skill of the century. This is going to blow your mind. This is called the art of Google Fu. Now, Google Fu is your ability to use Google and efficiently and quickly find the information you're looking for to help you break past some barrier you're having in your development of your skill. Now, I'm putting this here because when I first started out getting online, for some reason with my mindset at the time, I would give up when I was searching for something pretty easily. But you should know that Googling is a skill. At first, you might not really know the right words of what you're looking for, and you have to find it. In coding, for example, you find a lot of complex terms, and most of the time you're going to stumble up on a website called Stack Overflow. It's always, let's see. So for example, if I did let's say I was coding in, well, no. Let's say I wanted to see how to write a book. You might at first have the mental block of just like, oh man, I don't know how to write a book, and you'll just be stressing yourself out for no reason until you're like, okay, you know what? I can be in a productive headspace. Let's actually figure out how to do this. Some people wouldn't even think about how to write a book. They might do something like book writing. How to write? Okay, well, in some cases, yeah, Google's really efficient at finding you stuff. So copyright. Copywriting. Oops, I spelled it wrong. Copywriting. There you go. Yeah, Google Fu is the ultimate skill of the first century, and I wish I didn't have to put this in here, but I understand that a lot of you are coming from college, and they don't always teach you these skills that are actually really, really useful. So, yes, if you are struggling with that, Google Fu is just a matter of practice. You just keep Googling until you find the answer. Don't give up, because the answer is there. Otherwise, if you get really stuck, you can just hire a tutor. Tutor hiring. So this is where you go on a website like, for example, Wyzant or Code Mentor. Some kind of website that teaches the skills that you want. Wyzant's a really good tutoring platform for a ton of different things, and I'm going to be covering that on the next video. So yeah, if you get really stuck, you can go to tutor. You can hire a tutor. I do this personally, and it saves me a lot of time and headache, and I feel really stupid sometimes that I didn't think of some of these things. It just gives you another perspective. And I believe that pretty much covers everything on here. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole video. If you like the video, go ahead and subscribe. That would be really cool. I'll be doing the next video tomorrow, and I'm going to be finishing this series on Sunday. I believe will be the last day. So be sure to check out all the videos. Tomorrow is going to be on finding work online. So this is the one about education, building skills. The next thing you're going to want to do once you actually have some skills is you're going to want to find the work. So yes, until that video, I will see you then. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.